In the quiet town of Willow Creek, where life was predictable and everyone knew each other's business, a new face always caused ripples of curiosity. The high school cafeteria buzzed with its usual energy one Monday afternoon when the doors swung open, and a girl walked in who immediately caught everyone's attention. She wasn't flashy or overly dressed, just wearing a plain black hoodie, jeans, and sneakers, but there was something about her that made heads turn. Her jet black hair was tied back in a loose ponytail, and her piercing green eyes scanned the room as if she were analyzing every person sitting there. Students whispered among themselves, trying to figure out who she was. "Who's that?" someone muttered loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "New girl," another replied, leaning forward to get a better look. Mia Rivera had just moved to Willow Creek with her mom after spending most of her childhood traveling around the world due to her grandfather's demanding career. While no one at the school knew it yet, Mia's grandfather happened to be none other than Vin Diesel, the famous actor known for his tough guy roles and larger-than-life persona. But Mia never bragged about her family background. It wasn't something she liked to talk about. Instead, she preferred blending into the crowd and keeping a low profile. That day, however, blending in wasn't going to be easy. As she stood near the entrance holding her lunch tray, unsure where to sit, all eyes were on her. Finally, she chose a corner table far from the center of the room and sat down alone, quietly opening her sandwich wrapper. The whispers grew louder as students speculated about why she'd come to their small town. Some thought she might be hiding from trouble, while others joked that maybe she was secretly rich or famous. At the popular kids' table, Derek, the self-proclaimed king of the school, smirked as he watched Mia settle into her seat. Derek was a tall, broad-shouldered senior who ruled the hallways with arrogance and intimidation. He loved being the center of attention and hated anyone who didn't bow down to him. His group of friends laughed at everything he said, even when it wasn't funny because they were too afraid to cross him. Today, though, Derek found himself intrigued by the new girl. Something about her calm demeanor irritated him. How could someone so unfamiliar act like they owned the place? Derek leaned back in his chair, pretending to stretch, but his gaze remained fixed on Mia. "Hey, check out the new chick," he said casually, nudging his best friend Jake. "What do you think? Should we welcome her properly?" Jake chuckled, nervously, knowing exactly what Derek meant by welcome. Derek had a reputation for targeting anyone who stood out, especially newcomers. It gave him a twisted sense of satisfaction to put people in their place. With a mischievous grin, Derek stood up and sauntered over to Mia's table, flanked by two of his buddies. They loomed over her menacingly, casting long shadows across the table. "Well, well, well," Derek drawled, folding his arms across his chest. "Look who decided to grace us with her presence." Mia glanced up briefly, meeting Derek's gaze without flinching. Most students would have looked away nervously or tried to shrink into their seats under such scrutiny, but not Mia. There was a steely confidence in her expression that made Derek hesitate for a split second. Still, he quickly shook off the feeling and pressed on. "You got a name, or should we just call you New Girl?" he taunted, sneering slightly. Mia didn't respond right away. She took another bite of her sandwich, chewing slowly as if Derek wasn't even there. This only fueled his frustration. Nobody ignored Derek, not in this school, not ever. "I'm talking to you," he snapped, slamming his palm onto the table. The sound echoed through the cafeteria, making several students jump in their seats. For a moment, silence fell over the room as everyone waited to see what would happen next. Would Mia crumble under Derek's pressure like so many others before her? Or would she stand her ground? Without missing a beat, Mia placed her sandwich back on the wrapper and wiped her hands delicately. Then, still seated, she turned her full attention to Derek. "If you've got something to say, say it," she said coolly, her voice steady and clear. Derek blinked, momentarily thrown off by her composure. He wasn't used to being challenged, let alone by someone who looked so unassuming. Forcing a laugh, he leaned closer, invading her personal space. "Feisty, huh? I like that," he said mockingly. "But don't get too comfortable here, sweetheart. You're in my territory now." Mia raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. Is that supposed to scare me? She asked, tilting her head slightly. A few students nearby stifled giggles, which only enraged Derek further. He hated being laughed at, especially in front of his peers. Listen, princess, he growled, grabbing the edge of her lunch tray. Let's see how tough you really are. Before anyone could react, Mia moved with lightning speed. In one fluid motion, she grabbed Derek's wrist, twisted it sharply, and yanked it behind his back. Derek let out a startled yelp as pain shot through his arm. His friends froze, unsure whether to intervene or run for cover. Everyone in the cafeteria stared in stunned silence, unable to believe what they were witnessing. Mia held Derek in place, effortlessly, her grip firm but controlled. Don't touch me again, she warned, her tone icy yet calm. Derek struggled to break free, but Mia's strength was undeniable. After a few tense seconds, she released him with a slight shove, sending him stumbling backward. Humiliated, Derek glared at her, his face red with anger and embarrassment. You'll regret this, he spat, backing away toward his friends. But Mia simply sat back down, picked up her sandwich, and continued eating as if nothing had happened. The cafeteria erupted into murmurs and gasps, students eager to share what they'd just seen. Word spread like wildfire, and by the end of lunch everyone knew. The new girl wasn't someone to mess with. Over the next few days, Mia became the talk of the school. Rumors swirled about her mysterious past and how she'd managed to take down Derek so easily. Some students claimed she was a secret martial artist, while others whispered that she might have ties to some kind of elite training program. Despite the attention, Mia kept to herself, avoiding drama and focusing on her studies. One person, however, couldn't stop thinking about her. Emma, a shy sophomore with glasses and a love for books, admired Mia's courage. Unlike most students, Emma didn't approach Mia out of curiosity or awe. She genuinely wanted to befriend her. Gathering her courage one afternoon, Emma approached Mia's locker after class. Hi, she said softly, clutching her notebook tightly. I'm Emma. I just wanted to say thank you for standing up to Derek. No one's ever done that before. Mia turned to face Emma, her expression softening into a small smile. Thanks for saying that, she replied kindly. But I didn't do it for anyone else, just for myself. Emma nodded, feeling a bit braver. Still, it was amazing. Do you mind if we hang out sometime? To Emma's relief, Mia agreed, and the two began spending time together. Over the weeks, Mia opened up to Emma about her unique upbringing. She revealed that her grandfather was Vin Diesel, a fact she rarely shared because it often led to unwanted attention. Growing up, Mia had learned various forms of self-defense, not because she planned to fight bullies, but because it was part of her family's way of staying safe. Emma listened intently, amazed by Mia's story, but also inspired by her humility and strength. As their friendship deepened, Mia started noticing how many students at Willow Creek lacked confidence, especially when faced with bullies like Derek. Determined to make a difference, she suggested starting a self-defense club at school. With Emma's help, they gathered interested students and began teaching basic techniques to protect themselves. At first, Derek and his gang mocked the idea, calling it lame and pointless. But as more students joined and gained confidence, even Derek started showing interest. One afternoon, he approached Mia hesitantly, scratching the back of his neck. Listen, he mumbled, avoiding eye contact. About what happened. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have messed with you. Mia studied him for a moment before nodding. Apology accepted, she said simply. And if you want, you can join the club too. We could use someone your size. To everyone's surprise, Derek agreed, and slowly, the dynamics of the school began to change. What started as an act of bullying turned into a lesson for everyone, not just about standing up for oneself, but also about understanding and respecting others. Through Mia's influence, students learned that true strength came not from intimidating others, but from lifting them up. And though Mia never sought recognition or fame, she left an indelible mark on Willow Creek, proving that sometimes the smallest actions can spark the biggest changes. The Self-Defense Club quickly became the talk of Willow Creek High. Students who had once been too scared to speak up now found themselves eager to learn how to protect themselves. Mia and Emma worked tirelessly to organize sessions, often staying late after school to practice techniques and plan lessons. At first, attendance was modest, with only a handful of curious students showing up. But as word spread about how empowering the classes felt, more and more kids started joining. By the third week, the gym was packed with participants of all shapes, sizes, and grades. Even teachers began stopping by to watch, impressed by the positive energy radiating from the group. Derek's involvement surprised everyone, including himself. He hadn't expected to enjoy the club, let alone find it transformative. When he first walked into the gym on his first day, he half expected people to laugh or whisper behind his back. After all, this was the same guy who used to shove freshmen into lockers and mock anyone weaker than him. But instead of judgment, Derek was met with welcoming smiles and Mia's steady gaze. She didn't treat him any differently than the others, which both unnerved and motivated him. "All right, everyone," Mia said, clapping her hands to get their attention. "Today we're focusing on balance and control. Pair up and follow along." As Derek hesitated, unsure whom to partner with, Mia gestured for him to join her. "You're with me," she said firmly. For a moment, Derek thought about refusing, but something in her tone made him nod instead. Working with Mia proved to be humbling. She moved with precision and grace, demonstrating each technique flawlessly before breaking it down step by step for the group. When it came time for Derek to try, he fumbled awkwardly, stumbling over his own feet. The other students snickered, but Mia silenced them with a sharp glance. "Everyone starts somewhere," she reminded them. Then, turning back to Derek, she added gently, "Focus on your stance. Feel the ground beneath you." Her patience caught him off guard. No one had ever taken the time to explain things to him like this, not even his parents or coaches. Slowly, Derek began to improve, finding a rhythm he didn't know he had. By the end of the session, he was sweating and exhausted, but also exhilarated. For the first time in years, he felt like he'd accomplished something real. As weeks passed, Derek's attitude shifted noticeably. He stopped picking on underclassmen and started using his size to help instead. During one particularly chaotic practice, a freshman tripped while practicing a kick and fell hard onto the mat. Everyone froze, unsure what to do, but Derek rushed over immediately. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, offering the boy a hand. The freshman blinked in surprise but accepted the gesture, mumbling a quiet thanks. Later, Mia pulled Derek aside. "That was good," she said simply, giving him a rare smile. Derek shrugged, pretending it was no big deal, but inside he felt a spark of pride. Maybe he wasn't such a lost cause after all. Meanwhile, Mia continued to inspire those around her, not just through martial arts, but through her actions outside the gym as well. One afternoon, during English class, a shy girl named Lily burst into tears when a bully mocked her essay in front of the entire room. Most students looked away uncomfortably, unwilling to intervene, but Mia stood up without hesitation. "Leave her alone," she said sharply, glaring at the bully until he slunk back into his seat. Then, sitting beside Lily, she whispered words of encouragement until the girl calmed down. Moments like these became commonplace, and soon, Mia earned a reputation not just as a skilled fighter, but as someone who genuinely cared about others. Emma noticed the impact Mia was having on the school and couldn't help but feel proud of her friend. "You're changing everything here," she told Mia one evening as they walked home together. "People are standing up for themselves because of you." Mia shook her head modestly. "It's not just me," she replied. "Everyone has the power to make a difference. They just need a little push sometimes." Still, Emma knew better. It was Mia's quiet strength and unwavering kindness that inspired people to believe in themselves. And as much as Mia tried to downplay her role, there was no denying the ripple effect she'd created. By mid-November, the Self-Defense Club had grown so popular that the school administration decided to make it an official extracurricular activity. Principal Thompson announced the news during morning assembly, praising Mia and Emma for their leadership. "This club has brought our community closer together," he said, smiling warmly at the pair. "It's a testament to what can happen when we choose understanding over fear." The applause that followed was thunderous, and Mia found herself blushing under the spotlight. She wasn't used to being recognized, but she couldn't deny the sense of accomplishment swelling in her chest. With the club officially sanctioned, Mia and Emma expanded their efforts beyond physical training. They organized workshops on conflict, resolution, mental health awareness, and even anti-bullying campaigns. These initiatives resonated deeply with the student body, many of whom had struggled silently for years. One senior confessed during a workshop that he'd been bullied since middle school and had never told anyone. Hearing his story brought tears to several eyes, including Mia's. "We're here for you," she assured him afterward. "You don't have to face this alone anymore." As December approached, the school prepared for its annual Winter Talent Show, a tradition that usually featured singers, dancers, and comedians. This year, however, Mia suggested adding a demonstration by the Self-Defense Club. "It'll show everyone what we've been working on," she explained to Emma. "Plus, it'll inspire more people to join." Though initially hesitant, public performances weren't exactly Mia's forte. She agreed to lead the demonstration alongside Derek, who volunteered enthusiastically. Together, they choreographed a routine showcasing various techniques, blending strength and teamwork into a seamless performance. The night of the talent show arrived, and the auditorium buzzed with anticipation. When Mia and Derek stepped onto the stage, the crowd erupted into cheers. Dressed in matching uniforms, they moved in perfect harmony, executing kicks, blocks, and throws with precision. The audience watched in awe, many recording videos to share online later. By the end of the performance, the entire auditorium was on its feet, applauding wildly. Even Principal Thompson wiped a tear from his eye as he joined in the standing ovation. "That was incredible," he said afterward, shaking Mia's hand. "You've truly changed the culture of this school." Despite the accolades, Mia remained humble, deflecting praise onto her teammates and friends. She knew the journey wasn't over. There would always be challenges to face and lessons to learn. But for now, she allowed herself a moment of gratitude. Moving to Willow Creek had been daunting at first, but it had turned out to be one of the best decisions she'd ever made. Here, she had found not only acceptance, but also a chance to make a lasting impact. And though she never sought recognition, Mia realized that sometimes stepping into the spotlight could shine a light on others too. As the final days of the semester ticked away, Mia reflected on how far she'd come since that fateful day in the cafeteria. From taking down Derek to leading a movement that united the school, every experience had shaped her in ways she hadn't anticipated. More importantly, she'd discovered the true meaning of strength, not just in defending oneself, but in lifting others up. With Emma by her side and a growing circle of friends, Mia felt ready to take on whatever lay ahead. Little did she know, her journey was only beginning, and the lessons she'd learned in Willow Creek would stay with her for a lifetime. As the school year progressed, Mia's influence continued to ripple through Willow Creek in ways no one could have predicted. The Self-Defense Club wasn't just about teaching students how to throw punches or block attacks. It had become a safe space where people felt empowered to express themselves and support one another. Students who once kept their heads down in the hallways now walked with confidence, knowing they had tools to protect themselves if needed. Even teachers noticed a shift in the atmosphere. Classrooms were quieter during lessons and fewer conflicts erupted between peers. It seemed like Mia's presence had ignited something within the community, a spark of courage that refused to fade. One afternoon, as Mia and Emma sat on the bleachers after practice, Emma brought up an idea she'd been thinking about for weeks. "What if we took this beyond the school?" she asked excitedly, her eyes lighting up. "I mean, imagine helping kids in other towns too." Mia tilted her head thoughtfully. She hadn't considered expanding their efforts outside Willow Creek, but the more she thought about it, the more it made sense. After all, bullying and insecurity weren't unique to their school. They existed everywhere. "It's a big step," Mia replied cautiously, "but I think we can do it. We'd need help, though." Emma grinned, already envisioning the possibilities. Together, they began brainstorming ways to bring their message to a wider audience. Their first step was reaching out to local community centers and youth organizations. Mia drafted a proposal outlining their mission to teach self-defense skills while fostering resilience, empathy, and leadership among young people. To their surprise, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Within days, several groups expressed interest in hosting workshops led by Mia and her team. The principal of Willow Creek High even offered to provide transportation for students willing to volunteer as instructors. "This is happening," Emma said one evening, scrolling through emails on her phone. "People actually want us to come." Mia nodded, feeling both excited and nervous. They were stepping into uncharted territory, but she trusted that their hard work would speak for itself. The first outreach event took place at a nearby recreation center in early January. Dozens of kids from different schools gathered in the gym, eager to learn what Mia and her team had to offer. For many of them, it was their first exposure to martial arts or self-defense techniques. Mia started the session with a simple exercise, designed to build trust, pairing participants up and having them guide each other across the room blindfolded. Laughter filled the air as children stumbled and giggled, learning to rely on their partners' voices for direction. By the time they moved on to physical drills, the group was buzzing with energy. Derek, who had joined Mia and Emma as a volunteer instructor, couldn't help but smile as he watched the kids cheer each other on. Each workshop brought new challenges and rewards. Some participants arrived skeptical, convinced they wouldn't be able to keep up. Others struggled with fear or frustration, especially when moves didn't come easily. But Mia always found a way to connect with them, offering encouragement without judgment. "It's okay to make mistakes," she told a boy who kept tripping over his own feet during a kicking drill. "That's how you learn." Her words resonated deeply, not just with the boy but with everyone listening. Slowly but surely, walls came down and barriers dissolved. By the end of each session, participants left with more than just sore muscles. They carried newfound confidence and friendships. Word of these events spread quickly, drawing attention from local media outlets. A reporter from the town newspaper attended one of the workshops, capturing photos and interviewing attendees. The article that followed highlighted Mia's dedication and the impact of her program. "She doesn't just teach self-defense," one participant was quoted as saying. "She teaches us how to stand up for ourselves and for each other." The piece went viral online, catching the eye of organizations across the state. Invitations poured in from cities far and wide, asking Mia and her team to host workshops in their communities. Suddenly, the small initiative born in Willow Creek was transforming into something much bigger. Despite the growing demand, Mia remained grounded. She knew success wasn't measured by headlines or numbers. It was reflected in the lives touched along the way. One moment that stood out happened during a workshop in a neighboring town. A shy girl named Sophie approached Mia after the session, clutching a crumpled piece of paper in her hand. "Can I show you something?" she asked hesitantly. Opening the paper revealed a drawing of two figures practicing martial arts, one labeled Mia, the other me. Beneath it, Sophie had written, "Thank you for showing me I'm strong." Tears welled up in Mia's eyes as she hugged the girl tightly. "You've always been strong," Mia whispered. "I just helped you see it." Back in Willow Creek, life continued to evolve for Mia and those around her. Derek, once the epitome of arrogance, had transformed into a role model for younger students. He mentored freshmen struggling with bullies and encouraged classmates to join the self-defense club. His relationship with Mia had shifted from adversaries to allies, built on mutual respect. "You changed my life," he admitted one day after practice. "I don't know if I've thanked you enough." Mia smiled softly. "You're thanking me every time you help someone else," she replied. It was true. Derek's growth was proof that kindness could inspire change, even in the most unexpected places. Emma, meanwhile, blossomed into a confident leader under Mia's guidance. What started as admiration had grown into a deep friendship, with both girls supporting each other through thick and thin. When Emma confided in Mia about her struggles with anxiety, Mia shared breathing exercises she'd learned from her grandfather's trainers. "Focus on your breath," Mia instructed during a particularly stressful week. "Feel it grounding you." Emma practiced diligently, finding solace in the technique whenever panic threatened to overwhelm her. Over time, she became more outspoken, advocating for mental health awareness alongside their anti-bullying campaigns. "We're stronger together," Emma often reminded Mia, echoing the mantra they'd instilled in others. By spring, the self-defense program had expanded to include online resources, allowing anyone to access tutorials and tips regardless of location. Videos filmed by Mia and Emma gained thousands of views, with comments flooding in from viewers around the world. "Your story gives me hope," one user wrote. "I never thought I could defend myself until now." Another added, "Thank you for reminding me that strength isn't just physical, it's emotional too." Reading these messages filled Mia with gratitude. Though she avoided the spotlight, she couldn't deny the power of sharing her journey. Every comment, every thank you note, reinforced her belief that even small actions could create waves of change. As graduation approached, Mia faced a bittersweet reality. She would soon leave Willow Creek behind, moving on to college and whatever adventures awaited her next. But instead of fearing the future, she embraced it with open arms. The skills and friendships she'd cultivated here would stay with her, forever, guiding her wherever she went. On her final day at the high school, students gathered in the gym to celebrate her achievements. Speeches were given, tears were shed, and hugs were exchanged. Principal Thompson presented Mia with a plaque commemorating her contributions to the school. "Willow Creek will never forget you," he said warmly. "Neither will I," Mia replied, her voice thick with emotion. Before leaving, Mia addressed the crowd one last time. "When I first came here, I didn't expect much," she began, scanning the sea of familiar faces. "But you showed me that even in the smallest towns, the biggest changes can happen. You taught me the value of community, of standing together when times get tough. And I hope you'll continue doing that, for yourselves and for others." Her words hung in the air, resonating with everyone present. As she stepped down from the podium, applause erupted once again, louder and longer than before. In that moment, Mia realized she hadn't just changed Willow Creek, it had changed her too. Though her chapter in Willow Creek had closed, Mia's story was far from over. Armed with resilience, compassion, and a heart full of memories, she set off toward new horizons, ready to inspire and be inspired. And somewhere deep inside, she knew the lessons she'd learned, from taking down bullies to lifting up friends, would guide her every step of the way. Mia's departure from Willow Creek marked the beginning of a new chapter, but her legacy continued to thrive in ways she hadn't anticipated. The self-defense program she and Emma had built became a cornerstone of the community, evolving into something far greater than either of them could have imagined. With Mia gone, Emma took on the responsibility of leading the club, determined to keep its spirit alive. She recruited older students like Derek to help mentor newcomers, ensuring that no one felt left behind. Together, they expanded the curriculum to include not just physical techniques but also lessons on emotional resilience, leadership, and conflict resolution. The gym, once a place where bullies ruled, transformed into a sanctuary where students learned to stand tall, not just against aggressors but against their own doubts and fears. News of the program's success reached beyond Willow Creek, attracting attention from educators and activists across the country. One day, Emma received an email from a national nonprofit dedicated to youth empowerment. They wanted to feature the self-defense initiative as a model for other schools struggling with bullying and violence. At first, Emma hesitated. She still saw herself as the shy sophomore who used to hide behind books, not someone capable of representing an entire movement. But then she remembered Mia's words. "Strength isn't about being fearless, it's about doing what needs to be done even when you're scared." Taking a deep breath, Emma agreed to collaborate with the organization. Over the next few months, she traveled to conferences and workshops, sharing the story of how a single act of courage had sparked a revolution in their small town. Emma wasn't alone in carrying forward Mia's vision. Derek, too, found purpose in mentoring younger students, channeling his past mistakes into opportunities for growth. He often told the kids about the day he tried to bully Mia, and how it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to him. "I thought I was tough because I could scare people," he admitted during one session. "But real toughness is standing up for what's right, even if it means admitting you were wrong." His honesty resonated deeply with the participants, many of whom came from backgrounds similar to his own. Slowly, Derek became a symbol of redemption, proving that change was possible at any age. Meanwhile, Mia embarked on her college journey, eager to explore the world beyond Willow Creek. Her decision to attend a university known for its focus on social justice and community engagement wasn't accidental. It aligned perfectly with her values. On campus, she quickly became involved in various initiatives aimed at empowering marginalized groups. Whether volunteering at shelters, organizing awareness campaigns, or speaking at rallies, Mia brought the same quiet determination she'd shown back home. Though she rarely mentioned her famous grandfather, rumors about her family occasionally surfaced, drawing curious glances from classmates. But Mia didn't let it bother her. Instead, she used those moments to redirect attention toward the causes she cared about. "It doesn't matter who I'm related to," she said during a panel discussion. "What matters is what we do to make the world better." One project Mia spearheaded at college focused on creating safe spaces for survivors of domestic violence. Partnering with local advocacy groups, she helped develop workshops that combined self-defense training with mental health support. Participants learned practical skills to protect themselves while also gaining access to counseling services and resources. The program gained traction quickly, earning recognition from faculty and students alike. During one particularly impactful session, a young woman named Clara approached Mia afterward, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't think I'd ever feel safe again," Clara confessed. "But tonight I realized I'm stronger than I thought." Mia hugged her tightly, reminded once again of why she did this work, not for accolades but for moments like these. Back in Willow Creek, life moved on, but Mia's influence remained woven into the fabric of the community. Students who had participated in the self-defense club carried its principles with them wherever they went. Some pursued careers in education, law enforcement, or social work, inspired by the lessons they'd learned. Others simply applied the skills in their daily lives, standing up for themselves and others whenever necessary. Even Principal Thompson credited Mia with transforming the school's culture. "Before she arrived, we were reactive," he said during a staff meeting. "Now we're proactive. We've created an environment where everyone feels valued and heard." It was a testament to the power of grassroots efforts and to the girl who had dared to challenge the status quo. As years passed, Mia and Emma stayed in touch, exchanging updates about their respective journeys. Emma shared stories of how the self-defense program had grown, reaching hundreds of students each semester. She described the annual talent show demonstrations, which now featured elaborate choreography and drew crowds from neighboring towns. "It's become a tradition," Emma wrote in one email, "and every year we dedicate it to you." Mia smiled as she read the message, feeling a surge of pride for her friend. In return, she sent photos of her college projects along with snippets of speeches she'd given at events. "You've always been braver than you think," Mia replied. "Keep shining." Despite their busy schedules, Mia made it a point to visit Willow Creek whenever she could. Each trip was bittersweet, a chance to reconnect with old friends while realizing how much everyone had grown. During one visit, she attended a workshop led entirely by former students. Watching them teach with such confidence and passion filled her with joy. Afterward, Derek pulled her aside. "We're doing okay, right?" he asked, half joking but clearly seeking reassurance. Mia nodded, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You're doing more than okay. You're making a difference." It was all the validation he needed. By the time Mia graduated from college, she had established herself as a prominent advocate for youth empowerment. Her work earned her invitations to speak at international forums, where she emphasized the importance of grassroots movements in driving meaningful change. Yet despite her growing fame, Mia remained humble, always crediting the people who had supported her along the way. "I didn't start this journey alone," she often said. "Every person I've met has taught me something valuable. Together, we've created something extraordinary. Years later, when Mia returned to Willow Creek for a special reunion, organized by Emma, she found the town nearly unrecognizable. The high school gym buzzed with activity as alumni gathered to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the self-defense program. Former students turned instructors proudly displayed photos of their own classes, held in cities across the globe. Emma stood at the front of the room, beaming as she introduced Mia to the crowd. "She may not like the spotlight," Emma said, her voice thick with emotion, "but none of this would exist without her." The applause that followed was thunderous, echoing through the walls Mia had once called home. That night, as Mia walked through the familiar streets of Willow Creek, she reflected on how far she'd come since the day she walked into the cafeteria and faced Derek's taunts. What had started as an act of self-preservation had blossomed into a lifelong mission to uplift others. Along the way, she had discovered her own strength, not just in physical prowess, but in the ability to inspire and unite people. And though her journey was far from over, she knew one thing for certain. The ripple effect she'd set in motion would continue spreading, touching lives in ways she might never fully see. For Mia Rivera, that was enough. The years rolled on, and Mia's life took her to places she had once only dreamed of. After graduating from college, she moved to New York City, a bustling metropolis that felt worlds away from the quiet streets of Willow Creek. The transition was challenging. Crowded subways, towering skyscrapers, and the relentless pace of urban life were a stark contrast to the simplicity she'd grown up with. But Mia thrived in this new environment, embracing every opportunity to grow and learn. She landed a position at a nonprofit organization focused on youth advocacy, working alongside passionate individuals who shared her vision of creating safer, more inclusive communities. It was here that Mia truly understood the scope of the challenges facing young people across the globe, and the potential for collective action to drive change. Her work at the nonprofit allowed her to travel extensively, visiting schools and community centers in underserved areas around the world. From inner-city neighborhoods in Chicago to rural villages in Kenya, Mia witnessed firsthand how issues like bullying, poverty, and inequality impacted children differently depending on their circumstances. Yet, despite these differences, she found one constant: the universal desire for safety, respect, and belonging. This realization fueled her determination to expand the reach of her self-defense initiative, adapting it to fit diverse cultural contexts while staying true to its core principles. In Kenya, for instance, she collaborated with local leaders to incorporate traditional dance movements into the training sessions, making them both relatable and fun for participants. Everywhere she went, Mia left behind seeds of empowerment, trusting that they would take root and flourish long after she departed. Back in Willow Creek, Emma continued to nurture the legacy Mia had started. Under her leadership, the self-defense program became a pillar of the community, branching out into initiatives addressing mental health, gender equality, and academic support. Emma partnered with teachers, parents, and local businesses to ensure the program remained sustainable, even securing funding to build a dedicated training facility near the high school. The grand opening of the Mia Rivera Center for Empowerment drew hundreds of attendees, including former students, town officials, and media outlets eager to cover the story. Standing on stage during the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Emma fought back tears as she spoke about Mia's enduring impact. "She showed us what's possible when we believe in ourselves and each other," Emma said, her voice steady despite the lump in her throat. "This center is our way of saying thank you." Mia watched the live stream of the event from her apartment in New York, her heart swelling with pride. Though she couldn't attend in person due to a prior commitment, she sent a heartfelt video message congratulating everyone involved. "Willow Creek will always be home to me," she said, smiling warmly at the camera. "And seeing how far this program has come fills me with hope, not just for our town, but for the future of all the young people whose lives it touches." Her words resonated deeply, reminding viewers of the power of perseverance and collaboration. By the end of the ceremony, donations poured in from alumni and supporters, ensuring the center's operations for years to come. As Mia's career advanced, She began receiving invitations to speak at prestigious events, from TED Talks to international summits on education and social justice. Her speeches often centered on the importance of grassroots movements in fostering meaningful change. Real progress doesn't start with grand gestures or sweeping policies, she explained during one keynote address. It starts with small acts of courage, like standing up to a bully or lending a hand to someone in need. Those moments may seem insignificant at first, but they have the power to inspire others and create lasting ripples. Audiences hung on her every word, moved by her authenticity and conviction. Many approached her afterward, sharing their own stories of overcoming adversity and thanking her for giving them hope. Despite her growing fame, Mia never lost sight of her roots. She made it a point to stay connected with the people who mattered most, her family, friends, and mentors. Her grandfather, Vin Diesel, remained one of her biggest supporters, often attending events to cheer her on from the sidelines. Though he rarely spoke publicly about his granddaughter's accomplishments, those close to him knew how proud he was of the woman she had become. "She's got a fire inside her," he told a reporter during one rare interview. "And I think the world is starting to see that." For Mia, having her grandfather's unwavering support meant everything. It reminded her that no matter where life took her, she would always have a foundation to lean on. In Willow Creek, Derek continued to evolve into a role model for younger generations. He enrolled in a vocational program after high school, learning carpentry skills that allowed him to contribute meaningfully to the community. On weekends, he volunteered at the Mia Rivera Center, teaching self-defense classes and mentoring at-risk youth. His transformation amazed even himself. The boy who once bullied others now spent his days helping them find strength and purpose. One evening, as he sat with Mia during a video call, he reflected on how much had changed since their tumultuous first encounter. "I owe you so much," he said earnestly. "If you hadn't stood up to me that day, I don't know where I'd be right now." Mia smiled softly, shaking her head. "You did the hard work, Derek. All I did was give you a push." Meanwhile, Emma faced challenges of her own as she navigated adulthood and leadership. Running the Mia Rivera Center required not only passion, but also resilience and adaptability. There were days when funding fell short, volunteers dropped out, or conflicts arose among staff members. But Emma tackled each obstacle with the same tenacity she'd learned from Mia. "We're building something bigger than ourselves," she reminded her team during tough times. And that makes every struggle worth it. Over time, the center became a beacon of hope not just for Willow Creek, but for surrounding towns as well. Families traveled from miles away to enroll their children in its programs, knowing they would leave stronger and more confident than before. By the time Mia turned 30, she had achieved milestones she once thought impossible. She published a memoir detailing her journey from a shy teenager in Willow Creek to an internationally recognized advocate for youth empowerment. The book quickly climbed bestseller lists, resonating with readers of all ages. Critics praised its honesty and vulnerability, calling it a testament to the power of courage and compassion. Proceeds from the sales went directly to funding scholarships for underprivileged students, furthering Mia's mission to level the playing field for marginalized youth. During promotional tours, fans lined up for hours to meet her, clutching dog-eared copies of the book and sharing how her story had inspired them to pursue their dreams. Amidst her professional success, Mia also found personal fulfillment. She reconnected with an old friend from college named Alex, who shared her passion for social justice and adventure. Their relationship blossomed naturally, built on mutual respect and a shared vision for the future. Together, they traveled to remote corners of the world, documenting stories of resilience and innovation in communities often overlooked by mainstream media. These experiences deepened Mia's understanding of global interconnectedness and reinforced her belief in the importance of amplifying marginalized voices. "There's so much beauty in the world," she wrote in a journal entry during one trip, "and so much work still to be done, but I'm ready." As the decade came to a close, Mia returned to Willow Creek for the annual Winter Talent Show, a tradition she had helped establish years ago. Now held at the Mia Rivera Center, The event showcased performances by students from across the region, ranging from martial arts demonstrations to poetry readings and musical acts. Watching from the audience, Mia marveled at the diversity and creativity displayed on stage. When her name was called during the closing remarks, she stepped forward to thunderous applause. "When I look at all of you," she said, addressing the crowd, "I see limitless potential. You are the architects of tomorrow, capable of shaping a world that's kinder, fairer, and more inclusive. Never forget that your actions matter, not just to yourselves, but to everyone around you." That night, as Mia walked through the familiar halls of her old high school, she felt a profound sense of gratitude. What had begun as a single act of defiance against a bully had grown into a movement that spanned continents and touched countless lives, and though her journey was far from over, she knew she had already accomplished what mattered most, inspiring others to believe in themselves and their ability to make a difference. For Mia Rivera, that was the greatest victory of all. Years turned into decades, and Mia Rivera's story became a legend in its own right, a tale of resilience, courage, and the transformative power of kindness. By her mid-40s, Mia had achieved what many would consider an extraordinary life. Yet to her, success wasn't measured by accolades or milestones, but by the lives she touched along the way. Her memoir had been translated into over 20 languages, inspiring readers from all walks of life. Schools across the globe adopted excerpts as part of their curricula, teaching students about empathy, self-defense, and standing up for what's right. What started as a simple act of defiance in a small-town cafeteria had grown into a global movement that transcended borders, cultures, and generations. Back in Willow Creek, the Mia Rivera Center for Empowerment stood tall as a testament to her enduring legacy. Emma, now in her late 40s, continued to lead the center with unwavering dedication. Over the years, she transformed it into more than just a training facility. It was a hub for innovation, creativity, and community building. The center hosted art exhibits, theater workshops, and coding classes alongside its core self-defense programs. Young people from neighboring towns flocked to participate, eager to learn not only how to protect themselves physically, but also how to navigate the complexities of modern life. "It's not just about fighting back," Emma often said during orientation sessions. "It's about finding your voice and using it to create change." Derek, too, remained a steadfast presence at the center, mentoring countless students who reminded him of his younger self. He had long since left behind the arrogance and cruelty that once defined him, replacing them with humility and compassion. His carpentry skills proved invaluable when the center underwent renovations, and he took pride in crafting furniture and fixtures that gave the space its warm, welcoming vibe. On weekends, Derek could often be found coaching youth sports teams or volunteering at local shelters, embodying the values Mia had instilled in him years ago. "She changed my life," he told a reporter during an interview celebrating the center's 20th anniversary. "And I've spent every day since trying to pay that forward." As Mia traveled the world, she never stopped learning. Each new experience deepened her understanding of humanity's shared struggles and triumphs. She visited refugee camps in war-torn regions, listened to survivors of domestic violence, and collaborated with grassroots activists fighting systemic injustices. These encounters reinforced her belief in the importance of amplifying marginalized voices and empowering individuals to reclaim their agency. In one particularly memorable project, Mia partnered with a group of young women in India to launch a self-defense initiative tailored to their cultural context. Together, they developed techniques that blended traditional martial arts with everyday movements, making the program accessible and practical. Watching these women grow in confidence inspired Mia to double down on her efforts, knowing that change began at the grassroots level. Despite her busy schedule, Mia always made time for family. Her relationship with Alex had blossomed into a loving partnership built on trust, adventure, and mutual respect. They settled into a cozy home in Brooklyn, where they raised 2 children, twins named Ava and Leo. From a young age, Mia taught her kids the same principles she championed in her work: kindness, resilience, and the importance of standing up for others. Weekends were often spent hiking in nearby parks or exploring museums, fostering curiosity and creativity in the next generation. Though Mia's career kept her away from home frequently, she cherished the moments she spent with her family, finding solace in their laughter and love. By the time Mia reached her 50th birthday, she decided it was time to step back from the spotlight and focus on nurturing the next wave of leaders. She established the Mia Rivera Fellowship, a program designed to support young activists and educators working to empower marginalized communities. Recipients received funding, mentorship, and access to a global network of changemakers committed to driving positive change. Among the first cohort of fellows was Clara, the young woman Mia had met years earlier during a domestic violence workshop. Now a licensed therapist specializing in trauma recovery, Clara credited Mia with helping her find her purpose. "She didn't just teach me how to defend myself," Clara said during the fellowship ceremony. "She showed me that healing is possible, and that we all have the power to help others heal too." Emma, meanwhile, began planning for the future of the center, ensuring its sustainability for generations to come. She worked closely with local officials and donors to secure permanent funding, while also grooming younger staff members to take over leadership roles. One of these protégés was Sophie, the shy girl who had once handed Mia a drawing labeled, "Thank you for showing me I'm strong." Now a confident young woman in her early 20s, Sophie coordinated outreach efforts and led workshops with the same passion and determination that had defined Mia's early days. Watching Sophie thrive filled Emma with pride, knowing that the torch had been passed to capable hands. In her later years, Mia returned to Willow Creek more frequently, drawn by the sense of belonging she felt there. The town had grown and changed, but its heart remained the same. During one visit, she joined Emma and Derek for coffee at a cafe near the center. As they reminisced about old times, Mia marveled at how far they'd all come. "Do you ever think about that day in the cafeteria?" Derek asked, chuckling softly. "Every now and then," Mia replied with a smile. "But mostly I think about everything that came after." Emma nodded, sipping her tea thoughtfully. "It's funny how one moment can change so much," she mused. "Not just for us, but for everyone." Mia's final years were marked by reflection and gratitude. She spent her days writing, gardening, and spending quality time with her loved ones. Though her body bore the marks of age and wear, her spirit remained as vibrant as ever. She often told her grandchildren stories of her adventures, weaving lessons of courage and compassion into each tale. "The world will always have challenges," she said one evening as they sat together under the stars. "But if we face them with kindness and determination, we can make it better. For ourselves and for others." When Mia passed away peacefully in her sleep at the age of 72, the world mourned the loss of a remarkable woman whose impact spanned continents and lifetimes. Tributes poured in from every corner of the globe, celebrating her contributions to social justice and youth empowerment. In Willow Creek, thousands gathered at the center bearing her name to honor her memory. Emma delivered a heartfelt eulogy, her voice steady despite the weight of emotion. "Mia taught us that strength isn't about being invincible," she said, tears streaming down her face. "It's about showing up, for ourselves, for each other, and for the world. And though she may no longer be with us, her light will continue to guide us forward." Today, the Mia Rivera Center stands as a living monument to her vision, a place where young people discover their potential, confront their fears, and find the courage to dream boldly. Its walls echo with laughter, determination, and hope, carrying forward the legacy of a girl who once walked into a cafeteria and refused to back down. For those fortunate enough to cross paths with Mia, her influence remains etched in their hearts forever, a reminder that even the smallest actions can spark the biggest changes. And though her journey has ended, her story continues to inspire countless others to believe in themselves and the power of possibility.